Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about Mermaid Man Begins, and Plankton's Good Eye. First, I'm going to talk about Mermaid Man Begins. Enjoy! The episode begins at SpongeBob's house during a windstorm warning, where he and Patrick are preparing to watch the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy marathon on television. The marathon kicks off with an origin special, but just as it begins, SpongeBob's house loses power and a strong wind blows the house and the TV away. SpongeBob and Patrick go to Squidward's house while Squidward was watching male ballet, but the wind destroys his house too. At that point, all TVs are broken due to weather, so they decide to go to the Mermalair to ask the heroes about their origin personally. Once they're there, Mermaid Man tells them the story. He tried to tell them about the big splash that formed the seven seas, but that wasn't related the origin of the crime-fighting duo. Mermaid Mons tells the story that he was once a regular human being who was washed into the ocean and sucked into a whirlpool. Before he could drown, mermaids came and gave him a magical starfish that enabled him to breathe underwater. Shortly after, Mermaid Man saw Barnacle Boy scraping some barnacles off a ship's hull and thought that he was drowning. He used his newfound powers to draw barnacles into Barnacle Boy's lungs, allowing him to breathe underwater as well. They then decided to become a crime-fighting duo, though Barnacle Boy argues that this was only because he was stuck breathing underwater forever as a result of Mermaid Man's actions. The two heroes go on to talk about some of their earliest rescues, but soon begin to argue about what really happened. Just then, the actual origin special appears on the Mermalair's giant monitor. In the special, after cooking popcorn for movie night, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, called Ernie and Tim respectively, are thrust into a series of nonsensical, random events. Once they return to their apartment, the overcooked popcorn strikes the two with a jolt of cosmic energy, giving them superpowers and the urge to breathe underwater. They dive into the sea and start fighting crime. After the show ends, SpongeBob and Patrick put popcorn into a microwave with the intention of overcooking it and giving themselves powers of their own, and Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy try to stop them. Next, I'm going to talk about Plankton's Good Eye. Enjoy! The episode begins with Mr. Krabs at his desk and whistling with pickles. SpongeBob enters and they briefly discuss Mr. Krabs' obsession with money. Then, they both leave the room. Plankton pops out of the pickle jar. He hops on top of the secret formula's safe and attempts to open it. It does not open, even after Plankton studies the combination. Plankton soon falls off onto the floor. Mr. Krabs bursts in and, mistaking Plankton for a pickle, he puts him in his mouth, and then spits him out, making Plankton bruised and injured all over. Approximately 10 hours later, Plankton arrives at the chum bucket, when Karen suggests that Plankton should get a second eye to see the safe's combination more clearly, as she states that with only one eye, he lacks depth perception. The two-eye surgery Plankton attempts results in him turning into a creature with many eyes that combine to make one huge eye. On the second try, Plankton's new eye turns into an eye creature with robotic legs. Finally, Karen says Plankton needs teardrops successfully complete the procedure, so he makes himself cry, only to be told by Karen that he needs teardrops from a person that has two eyes. So, Plankton pursues SpongeBob to get him to cry. After finding him having a picnic, Plankton tells SpongeBob a sad story about himself and his milk spilling, and Plankton actually does what happened in the story, causing SpongeBob to cry uncontrollably. Plankton gets the tear sample he sought after and begins the third surgery, in which Karen drops SpongeBob's tear liquid into Plankton's eye. An eye similar to one of SpongeBob sprouts from his face, and Plankton sees things as SpongeBob does, that is, all happy and full of optimism. He goes after the secret formula but instead stops to admire the beauty of his surroundings. When Plankton arrives again at the chum bucket near the end of the day, Karen realizes that the second eye is giving Plankton a split personality, calling him Neville. Plankton is stubborn and denies her claim, however, and tries to disprove her by stealing the formula, but Plankton is, once again, distracted by Bubble Bass, who is in need of a rescue from a burning building. After the rescue, Plankton randomly finds the formula on the ground and returns it to Mr. Krabs like a nice person, but Mr. Krabs, however, thinks Plankton is playing a trick. It is now that Plankton finally realizes that he is actually non-evil now, so he tries to remove the eye several times but fails. Plankton returns to the chum bucket and falls into despair. However, a surprise party is thrown for Plankton's good deeds. It seems that everybody in town is at the party. As SpongeBob and all of his friends hug Plankton, the second eye pops off. Plankton becomes evil again and drives out the party-goers with red infrared security attack lasers. The episode ends with Plankton bumping his head on the door because of his depth perception issues caused by having only one eye once again, as the episode ends. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.